5 time management tips. Your most precious resource is your time. It is the one thing that nobody has more of than anyone else, yet some people are more productive, successful, and happier than others. They're somehow able to prioritize what matters most and work in an efficient and effective manner to live out their priorities. I'm a big believer that life is won on the margins, and that a little difference can make a big difference, especially in how you decide to spend your time. So here are 5 things that work for me, and maybe some of them will work for you. Tip number 1 is to get an early start. I live in Los Angeles, and what I've learned by getting an early start is that there are less people in the gym, less traffic on the freeway, and if I have an early meeting for breakfast, there are fewer people in line. I can get everywhere quicker. I can get in and out of the gym faster, and I won't have to wait in line for a breakfast meeting. I'm also less likely to be late for a breakfast meeting because there's less traffic. Bottom line is that there is less competition for resources earlier in the day. When I start my day early in the morning, there are also less distractions, and I can work more proactively on my biggest priority for the day. I can get more done in less time because there are less competition for my time the earlier I start. Tip number 2 is to do the most important thing first. If there's one thing that I've learned in sales, it is that speed matters, especially when it comes to follow-up. The bulk of the time, the most important task of the day is to follow up on my sales opportunities. For example, if I had a meeting late Monday afternoon and I need to write either an executive summary or a proposal, that will happen the first thing Tuesday morning. I want the prospect to show up for work on Tuesday with my email sitting right there in their inbox. I have found that when I treat a prospect like they're a client while they're a prospect, with the speed of my follow-up, they become a client. Speedy follow-up is important. Tip number 3 is to do the easiest thing first. At the end of each day, I write down a list of all the things I want to do the next day. If there's no real pressing priority, but there are a lot of things to do, many times I will start out by doing the easiest thing to do first. After I do it, I get a win under my belt. I cross the task off my list, and one of the things that I say to myself as I'm doing this is, Steve, man, you are like butter. You're on a roll. I then move down to the next thing to do on the list and keep up my momentum of getting things done, crossing them off one at a time. Tip number 4 is to batch similar tasks together. When I batch my tasks, I simply put similar tasks together and do them all at once instead of juggling between different tasks. What I've discovered is that many of the things I do require a specific mindset, and once I get into a groove, I want to stay in that groove. I typically batch 3 tasks on a day-to-day basis. One of them is my email. I do it 3 times a day. In the morning, I clear out my box and send any emails I need to send. Right before or after lunch, I do the same thing, and at the end of the day, I do the same thing. I compose emails better when I get into the mindset of responding or writing one email after the other. I also get them done in less time. Second is in returning and making calls. I write a list of people I want to call and I don't put the phone down. I make one call right after the other. I'm in the mindset of making calls. I get into a rhythm and my pace is good. I'm able to make more calls and have quality conversations because I'm locked in to making calls. Third is logging my notes in CRM. While I'm making my calls, I'm taking notes. After my time block of calls is over, I log all of my notes in one shot. Well-documented notes really matter, especially when getting ready for the next conversation. I write better notes when I get in the mindset of writing one set of notes right after the other. Tip number 5 is to cut out distractions. In my first 10 years in sales, my daily goal was to make 50 calls and hold 2 meetings a day. Depending on the day, I usually had 2 call blitzes. I worked in a bullpen and there were a lot of distractions from coworkers that impacted my ability to get my call blitzes done. I got tired of being interrupted, so I put up a sign while I was making calls that said, "Please do not disturb prospecting in progress." When my call blitz was over, I was available for a conversation. Now it's more than just me, a phone, and my coworkers. It's email, texting, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Distractions are an epidemic, and trying to keep up with them can become an addictive habit. What I do is I turn off the alerts, close out the apps, and turn my phone upside down to stay focused. So what to do now? Hopefully one of these time management tips resonated with you. The simplicity of what to do is there, but the execution phase is difficult. Pick one and stay the course.